What's going on, everybody? Your king has returned, and well, guys, I just got through watching the latest death battle between the Incredible Hulk versus Godzilla, and honestly, guys, all I have to say is this death battle has to be the best one of 2025 so far. I know in the last video I said that Dr. Eggman versus Bowser was, but now after watching this one of Hulk versus Godzilla, I honestly have to say that this one is right now the current champion of 2025 of Death Battle. Now, honestly, guys, I have to say I was a bit surprised about the outcome, considering the fact that everybody and their mother knows at this point that Hulk's track record on Death Battle has not been the best. Considering the first time he was on Death Battle, he went up against Doomsday and lost, of course. And then years later down the line, he went up against Broly, the super version, and also lost. Now, guys, I'm going to say that being the young age and while Death Battle was around at the time, I definitely have to say I was a bit surprised. Okay, well, let me rephrase that. I really wasn't against the fact that Hulk had lost those two death battles because at the time I had actually thought that Death Battle had a specific reason in their research at the time and explained why Hulk lost to Doomsday and Broly. However, guys, now that I look at Hulk versus Godzilla, I'm honestly a bit surprised and confused, like, especially considering the fact of how they explained everything that Hulk was capable of doing and the way they implemented it into this death battle right here. It really makes you stop and question, like, how the hell did Hulk lose the last two battles? Especially when they went into explaining his immortality and everything, and basically how the gate is always open and how he could just keep coming back. And even though it's kind of the same thing with Godzilla, like how he dies, but he could come back, and also how they implemented Godzilla Ultima and his basically avatar. I definitely because. And I definitely will say, guys, especially looking back at it now that I'm a full fledged adult, it really makes you stop and question, like, exactly how Hulk lost those two battles, especially when they go into detail with this specific one against Godzilla. It really makes you think that the last two battles he was in, he should have won. Like, Doomsday, I'd say mid to high difficulty. Broly, he probably should have one-shotted. Maybe mid difficulty at best, but still kind of one-shot. And now they basically like put together the fact that considering that he has Bruce and adding his intelligence into that and being able to eventually get that one singular moment to actually finish off Godzilla, which is actually, now that I look back at it, is even more crazier considering the fact that how in the Hulk versus Broly death battle they explained that considering that Hulk is keeps getting angrier and more unstable each fight, they said that how he wouldn't be able to get one of the geniuses like Banner or one of the other smarter Hulks during the battle. Yet they literally show that in this battle against Godzilla, how they utilizes Hulk's intelligence and also adding Bruce into the battle to be able to defeat Godzilla. It's like, how do you guys make it so in these make so giving Hulk these specific things so he could beat Godzilla, yet the other two opponents who are probably not exactly on the same level Godzilla is on, Hulk loses to those two. It could just be that during those times that Death Battle was a different show, or maybe this time around they probably realized that obviously if they have Hulk lose a third time, obviously everybody, like the Hulk, not just the Hulk fans, but literally the Marvel fans, and any other fans who know both Godzilla and the Hulk equally, will probably realize that okay, like at this point they're pretty much like they would probably think, okay, at this point, like it seems like they're just favoriting the other character over the Hulk, and they're pretty much you know, making it so like to keep the other half of the fans happy. Because it could be due to the fact that back then they figure, well, Hulk has always been this popular icon, and in their eyes, they probably would have thought that to have the most popular character win over the other character who probably isn't as popular, there would probably be some kind of controversy in between that. But at the same time, it would have been even more controversial considering the fact that Hulk already lost 2 times, the last 2 times that he was on Death Battle. And if they were to have had him lose against Godzilla, like this would have been the 3rd time he lost. And then obviously at that point, a whole lot of people on the internet, like you guys already know how people in these kind of versus debate communities be like, oh no, this character should have won because of this character should have won because of that, or it should have been a draw. Because I'll be honest with you guys, before the battle happened and the analysis and everything listing down in my head, I was thinking like a scenario, like what are the, and even before the battle had even came out, like weeks before, I was thinking, what are the chances that this battle ends up being a draw? Like the two end up clashing in a big atomic explosion and they're both just dead. Like they're both just dead. I mean that could have been a possibility, and especially considering the after post analysis when the battle, when everything was said and done, how they were equal in immortality and power. But the last stat, which I kind of forgot the name, but how the last stat, how Hulk pretty much has the last stat. If you guys had to ask me personally, I feel like this is hands down one of the closest battles that Death Battle has ever done. And I really like the fact how they went into detail about their immortality and stuff, how this fight definitely could have just kept going on forever. Like, it's literally an unstoppable force versus another unstoppable force, or possibly an immovable object versus another immovable object. And I really love how they narrowed it down, how it all came down to the one factor of who could possibly exploit the other's one main weakness first. And it would obviously make sense that Hulk slash Bruce would figure that out, considering that both of them are pretty much more intelligent than Godzilla. Like, I mean, sure, in the grand scheme of things, Godzilla, especially Ultima, definitely has much more experience when it comes to these kinds of things, like using their powers and whatnot. But when it comes to hand-to-hand combat skills, you know, and dare I even say rage, it definitely would make sense in the long scheme of things that Hulk would win this battle. Like, it definitely would be one of the most difficult battles Hulk ever could do, because in a sense, him and Godzilla are really alike. In many ways, it's like Hulk is fighting an alternate version of himself. Of course, albeit that alternate version be a giant, scaly lizard who has notorious bad breath. But yeah, guys, I just really enjoyed this death battle overall. I can't really say I have any overall criticisms about this, even though what I stated earlier in the video made it seem like that. But no, like this was a perfect death battle. 10 out of 10. Would definitely recommend to other people who aren't really into death battle or don't know what death battle is. I would probably recommend that video to them first above all others. But yeah, guys, this was just me wanting to get my feelings out about the death battle recently and how I just utterly enjoyed it. So yeah, expect more videos in the future. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.